right, let's get it started. Hello, good morning, good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing today? You're going to try something new here in the community, which we haven't done before. This is the first of many. We're going to be discussing, we're essentially going to be talking to successful members from the community here, and we're going to hear their stories. We're going to ask them, what got them into trading, techniques that they use, because obviously everybody in the community is very different. Not everybody does the exact same thing. We are all here to be independent thinkers, and so we want to showcase people that we feel deserve to have some of the spotlights. It's not just about one or two or three individuals in the community, it's about the community as a whole. So we're going to try to do this every 2 to 3 weeks. We don't really have a set schedule yet. I would love to do it every other week. That would be great. We are going to also record these for people who have not been able to make it to this or would like to revisit this at a later date. That being said, our first speaker that we have here with us, his name is DehydratedHenry. Just goes by Henry as well. And he is one of our premium members, and he has been very successful in the group, and he's been doing so well that he was the first person that we decided we wanted to bring on and share with you guys, get some insight from him that hopefully can inspire some of you guys. So without further ado, Henry, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thanks so much
Perfect.
for this opportunity, Nate
Of
and Matt.
course. So I guess we'll just get started. Now, if you want to just kind of give everyone here a little bit of a background for you and your trading lifestyle and also your personal lifestyle, how has trading fit into your life thus far, with your everyday life that you have going on, obviously outside of trading?
Sure. For starters, I'm a chemical engineer from Missouri, and so my job is mainly on site for a lot of most of my job. Actually, I will just say it's going to be on site.
Hmm.
And so, starting out with trading, I didn't really get into trading as I wasn't a believer in it, right? I started out reading this book called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, and it was your typical invest in the S&P 500, retire 60, couple million to your name. And I thought that the only way to, improve um, the rate of which I retire is to kind of climb this corporate ladder.
Right.
Well, after my undergraduate years, I got a job in the biomedical field first, read that book, and then, that introduced me to 401ks and investing just into, the basic S&P 500 stocks or QQQ and whatnot. And then I got more infatuated into individual stocks such as, the big tech stocks, Nvidia, AMD. And I would always find myself kind of just glazing at the charts, always really thinking about where my positions are, even though it didn't really mean much, right? The stock
Hmm.
probably moved $2 and whatnot. And then I kind of took a chance and decided to really look into trading, and it was the most basic trading. So this was what December 2022 is when I started. So it's been a little bit more than a year and a half
Yeah,
into my
you're gonna
trading
have.
journey. Yeah, and I initially started out just opening up an account. I think it was Robinhood at the time, doing binary options, so calls and puts.
Hmm. As many people start.
Yes, yes. Like zero DTE, one DTE, such.
Hmm.
And I was just kind of throwing a shot in the dark, 1 minute time frame. Most of my trading was support and resistance. And it just, to me, it made no sense when I was watching Forex traders. I would always see that they had some sort of EA, right? I don't know if we're all familiar with Forex, but when you trade Forex, you have an EA, and that tells you your exact position size, your stop loss is based on structure, right? Not just a dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also was just really frustrated at the principles of short-term contracts or options contracts because, you know, when you're using the Greeks, your position on the graph could, go up and up, but because of theta decay, your position probably wouldn't even move or if not decrease based upon volatility.
Mm-hmm.
And so going from options, I then went to futures. I These were all live accounts, funded myself with $500 to $1,000, so not too much, but it gave me a really nice taste in the market having a live account first. Then I went into prop firms, so Apex.
Mm-hmm.
This was before I really started taking Apex seriously. It was just nice to trade the minis, right? I would only trade micros at the time.
Right.
Um, and in this whole time frame, I probably bounced around. This would be my fourth major Discord, my major mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and throughout those years, throughout those times, I went from binary options to futures to Forex, which I really enjoyed, right? Um, and then going from Forex, I actually was unfortunately caught in the my Forex fund scandal.
Oh.
Yeah, so that kind of really cemented, and being especially in the U.S., Forex has always just been kind of a touchy subject.
Right.
Um, and so I passed my phase one of my Forex funds, and then lost the account. I thought I was going to get it back, but obviously we know how that ended up being. And then I went back to futures, fully committed to Apex. And prior to joining the server, I was only trading price action. So, stuff like engulfing bars, inside bars, using VWAP, all these things. Um, and I got funded, I think, with a 25K account and a 50K account from Apex. And I had also received two payouts. So that was already successful, but to me, it just felt I had a lot of uncertainty in my strategy,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I would back test it in times of doubt, I would always see that I have some sort of negative edge. So constantly I kept trying to reaffirm myself that this strategy works, yet all the statistical data I had shown negative results. Um, and then I stumbled upon Matt's interview with T Trades. And I kid you not, I really think this interview was so impactful to my life because, maybe I'm strange, but I had listened to this interview maybe 4 to 5 times. It was the first time that somebody wasn't kind of saying that, oh, you can quit your job in 3 months doing this strategy. Oh, this strategy has a 90% hit rate.
Right.
It was Matt's telling us that we should have a job while trading this model,
Mm-hmm.
right? Have multiple streams of income in order to reduce stress and be in that trading zone, right? Where we can accept a win, where we can accept a loss without some sort of burden on our shoulders.
Absolutely.
And so after that, after I heard that interview once, I joined the general chat, and within 30 minutes, what we were talking about earlier, Nate, I joined the premium. And my mind was just completely blown. I haven't had somebody ever personally DM me about what I need to learn or talk about my achievements with, and just being in a group with like-minded individuals that treat this more than just trading, right? It's our business. It's something that we want to improve every single day and improve ourselves. Um,
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
yeah, and so it's been almost 2 months now since I've joined the server, but in the first month I joined the premium. One, I have never studied ICT, right? I know about FEGs and such, right? But that
Mm-hmm.
was the bare minimum. I remember asking the first week um, to Matt, hey, is this a breaker block? And I was just like, I don't know how these guys are seeing it, but I'm just gonna stick with it, right? And um, so no ICT concept. So all I could really learn was whatever Matt had shown us for free. First of all, it's all for free. The unicorn model, right? And
Mm-hmm.
only what Matt had shown me was what I learned. And after the first month, my first payout using only the model that he taught was 10x the payout that I had received um, months prior. So that's kind of how my journey's been from, not trading at all to, a year and a half later to just using this unicorn model.
Yeah. And you know what? That's actually fascinating what you said about how you've never you never studied ICT. I mean, obviously that's how most people find out about these types of, trading models is they stumble across ICT at some point, right? Like typically. So I find it intriguing that, you never even, and maybe you came across him you didn't even realize, but you never studied him whatsoever, and then you came
Yes.
here, and then obviously, these concepts, they derive from him, and now, and just through the teachings that we have, here in this community, you were able to completely flip the switch, so far on to the point where you're seeing, profits, sooner than you ever expected. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just, I mean, that's like, I haven't heard anybody say that. I've never heard someone say, hey, like I never even heard, or maybe not heard of, but I never used any ICT models until I came to this community. Then I started doing just what Ash is teaching, and then saw success. I mean, I'm sure there are people, but I haven't heard of anybody who never even intended on using ICT concepts and then came here and said, I'm going to do what's going on here. I don't need to go to the, ICT or like review any of the other stuff. I'm just going to do
Hmm.
what's in here and then see success so quickly on top of that.
Yeah.
Which
I
is,
mean,
yeah.
starting off, I did. I think what resonated with me even more was just where I had come from initially, right? So, um, I was starting to trade pullbacks, right, with price action, and it almost kind of boiled down to just supply and demand or order blocks or whatnot. So I guess it was just kind of rebranded ICT, but I never had considered an order block or this supply and demand zone
Mm-hmm.
having FEG to confirm it, right?
Mm.
Um, but it was just more so the fact that I traded off the 5 minute chart. And even when I was doing binary options, I traded only SPY, right? So I was very
Mm-hmm.
familiar with ES. Um, so I traded only ES, I traded only the 5 minute, and I had watched a few videos about why you should only take one trade a day. And already, I think that's what kind of propelled me forward in my trading prior to the server was just taking one trade a day and having the discipline to only stick with that, right? And never
Right.
moving my stop to break even.
Quality over
And so,
quantity.
exactly. And so, when I was seeing Matt trade only one trade per day, obviously, it just resonated with me even more, right? I personally don't do two trades per week,
Mm-hmm.
but still one trade per day had already changed my life in the better. And then seeing somebody else do one trade per day and seeing great success, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was all I needed to hear to fully commit to the system. And even if I don't have the my favorite person is ICT. I quite dislike him at times, right? I still haven't really looked at any of the videos. A lot of the servers I came from despised ICT,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I had only backgrounds of hating the guy. But in the end, if Nick, you told me about a strategy that ICT said, but because I know you, I'll be like, wow, this is amazing strategy,
Right.
right? And so then I just took a full deep dive into this, and I still haven't watched any of his videos because I think that would almost kind of destroy what I or kind of paralysis by analysis, right? If I know
Right.
too much,
Mm-hmm.
then I can't, or I kind of get myself out of positions.
Yeah.
I
Right.
want to execute without having second thoughts.
Right. Information overload. You don't want that. You just want to,
Exactly.
you want to know what you know, and you don't want to continue. If you add too much, then it just becomes overwhelming at that point.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, again, I just think that's fascinating that you came from, and to touch on what you were saying about how you were in other communities and they hate ICT and yada yada. I think that right there added to your, like your perspective, right? It's like you're in the echo chamber, so it's like
Yes.
whatever you're surrounded by is kind of going to, that's going to put things into certain perspectives, and then you're just going to come up with an assumption like, oh well, all of these people don't like this, so then therefore I should probably also not like this because I'm involved in this thing.
Yeah, the bandwagon effect, you know?
Exactly. Yep. So I do want to now ask you, because you had mentioned that you are not a fully remote employee, where some people, they are able to trade because they work full time at home, so they have the ability to multitask and trade while they do their full time job. So you had mentioned that you trade while you are out in the field. So
Yes.
I wanted to kind of ask you, because I'm sure that there are plenty. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm sure that there are many people who are, they don't have remote jobs. They're working in the field just like you. So I wanted to know how do you go about it, right? Like, what are maybe some tips you could give people, or maybe just break down, how you handle trading while you're in the field, because obviously there are a lot of psychological barriers, and there's just a lot of different things that can happen because you're not just in your own space, you're out in
Definitely.
the public eye, right?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I think that if you really wanted to pursue trading, you're gonna have to find some way to work around your job. And quite frankly, some jobs just don't allow it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, sometimes I'm either on the floor. So I work in an aerospace company, and we work with a lot of uh, planes and jet engines.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the engineers, you have to often go to the floor, examine it, right? Make sure everything's working. So I do have a lot of hiccups. However, I think I just got kind of lucky. My first job, I was able to trade on the computer, and this job I currently have, it's pretty high security where you can't trade, you can't even access Google Drive or YouTube on the
Mm-hmm.
computers. And so it really sucked when I first started working here. It increased the salary, which meant that I was able to trade and pay my bills and stuff like that without a lot of stress,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I had to only trade on the phone. And so, one, um, like I said, you really have to put in a lot of energy to find ways to work around this,
Absolutely.
whether it's you have Forex and you have to trade the London session earlier, or for me, I only trade the New York opening session now, and I only give myself about 2 hours to try to find a unicorn. If it doesn't present itself, then I move away from the charts. And so I will say there are pros and cons, and I'll get into the cons first, of
Mm-hmm.
course, right? First and foremost, is trading off the phone. You can't have the excess of data, such as, I can't see the daily while I'm looking at the hourly point
Mm-hmm.
of interest is, or the 15-minute and the 1 minute, right? Um, it's hard to manage positions as well for me. I always get very nervous because, so to prepare my day, I have to make sure my computer's on and running with my trade copier active. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if you have your trade copier active on your computer, you can execute off your phone and it'll copy trades over, right? So I have my computer on with my copier. I also have a remote connection from my phone to my desktop in order to make sure that one, all my positions are running,
Mm-hmm.
two, my copier is still working, and three, I'm able to close all my positions. That's a really scary part, especially when you're managing 20 PAs on Apex, right? Trading off the phone and not being able to see all your positions close at once, because I've had it multiple times where the company internet kind of is slower, and so half of my accounts are open and I have to manually close another 10 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the biggest cons. And obviously, because, like you said, we're in the public eye. Um, if I'm in my office, somebody could run in, ask me a question while I'm in a position or
Yep.
about to enter a position. And I think for that, I have to realize that, hey, trading will always be there another day, right? It's just like the sun, it rises the next day, right? It
Absolutely.
won't go anywhere. Um, if I miss a trade because I'm talking to a coworker about a project, then so be it, right? I know that when I go home, my salary will be guaranteed income,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have to use it. It pays for my insurance, for doctor's appointments and such, so I have to prioritize that first. It to me, I do want to pivot into full-time trading, but I just don't have enough data, right? I just don't have enough data to be fully committed into full-time trading. And when I have something that's guaranteed to me, I need to focus on that. Um, and so that's kind of the struggles about trading off my phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Managing 20 PAs is always scary. I always get freaked out after a position. If some of my positions are still running or closing, I have to check it like 5 times. Maybe I have to sneak into the restroom really quick,
Right.
right? But these are the things that I really want trading to work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will do anything it takes to work this job and be able to trade.
Right. You find a way.
Exactly. Now, there are some pros. And it's great for me because this really was kind of like a crutch to my discipline. So I have an app on my phone that basically, after I take my first trade and I see the position close, I open up this app and it blocks trading view, where I execute from, for 8 hours. So after market close, then I can look at it again.
Right.
So it literally blocks me from taking another trade. Now, nowadays I don't really use it that much, but that was such a pivotal thing for me to block my charts after that first trade and ingrain either that win or ingrain that loss, because when you have um a win, a lot of times you're very overconfident, you want to
Yep.
jump into the next position,
Yep.
right?
And when you
And when
lose the
you're
same thing, you're like, I got to get that money
exactly
back.
exactly you want to double up and try to win that. And that was my biggest issue with prop firms, is that I would never have a account that undergoes drawdown and goes back up into profits. It's either I blew the account or I passed it. And it's because I just had no discipline with revenge trading, and I had no discipline with over trading itself. I would take back then when I was scalping, man, it was probably like 10 to 15 scalps a day. And the mental capacity I just had for everything, I'd go home from I power lift competitively. And so when I would go to the gym, my mind is just so messed up because not only did I have to go through the stress of working my job,
Mm-hmm.
but I also just took 10 to 15 trades just to be net red or net zero for the day,
Right.
right?
And then you can't lock
So
it in.
exactly. And I see that some people are asking about what app it is. So I pay for an app called Opal, OPAL, and I bought a year subscription that allows me to. There's a setting, so when you have the free version, you can have a duration of how much you want to block it, right? But with the premium version of it, I think it's probably less than, I don't know, $6 a month if you buy for the whole year. Uh, you can block your TradingView app without interference. Like if you try to unblock it, it wouldn't let you, right? So
Oh.
that's something that I really really like, is setting up my copy trader, having the app on my phone to block my TradingView after a trade, right? But I have to like double, triple check that all my positions are closed, because if I let accounts
You can't be locking
bleed.
yourself out when you're in the middle of a position.
Exactly. Exactly. So I have to be very, very strict with myself that if I have accounts running past the trading hours,
Right.
man, I just blew up 20 PAs right there, right? So
Right.
Some pros and cons. Some pros and cons of mobile trading.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I think that I mean that's a great way to really instill discipline without it's not like a crutch. It really just like physically puts the discipline right in front of you because you
Yes.
cannot access the app, but then eventually, like you said, you just tend to not use it anymore because you become accustomed to it. So then just within yourself, maybe you're having a rough day and maybe you do need to use it occasionally, right? But eventually
Yes.
it becomes just a part of you and you just know. So it assists you in acquiring that level of discipline of like, okay, I took my one trade. I'm going to move on for the day. I'm going to go handle, my work that I got, or I got to go to the gym. I got to go spend time with the family, whatever it is. I think that's a great idea. I've never even heard of that actually. I've never heard of locking, like, an app that will, I mean, I think I've heard of them, but I've never heard of specifically the one you're talking about. Like when I think of locking out a phone or apps, I'm thinking about like the one built into the
Yeah.
to the phone where it's like you can set timers so you spend X amount of time on
Hmm.
on the apps. So that's great, and I'm glad that you also remembered the app. It looks like some people might be asking it. It was Opal,
Yeah.
OPAL, correct? Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And something else is that when you so when I was in school, obviously there was a lot of times where I just had to really focus on work, and
Right.
you would always block YouTube, you would always block social media, and that had always worked well,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the issue is that when you know how to block something, you know the pathway to unblock it as well,
Right.
right? And so for me, when I was using the initial, like kind of the, like you said, the in
The
the iPhone
standard
or
one.
whatever,
Yep. Yep.
exactly, I knew how to unblock it. And this one literally just blocks you out. I think to I don't even know how to unblock it once it's set. You probably have to
Which is good.
it's yeah, you probably have to delete the app, but I'm not going to experiment because I
Right.
know it works so well, and the moment I do it once, the like it's a liability because now I'll be wanting to
You'll
try it
know. Yep. That's
again.
it. That's it. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's a great idea. I've never even thought of that, and that's great for, like you said, mobile traders
Mhm.
specifically because of the fact that our phones are in our pocket. I mean, everybody's got them. We can just grab it, and
Yes.
in an instant, like almost like subconsciously, you're not even thinking about it. Think about, I mean, everybody that's listening. It's like think about how many times you grab your phone and then you go and you look at something, or in some social media app, whatever it is, or just in something that you use regularly, and then you close it out, you put your phone away, and then without even thinking about it, like a couple minutes later, you're like, oh, you just hop right back into the app. Like you're not even thinking about it just because you like
Mhm.
to go into it, because we're all, as sad as it is, we're all addicted to our phones and our devices. So it's very, I do it myself all the time. I'll open up, well, typically it's Discord for me, but like, I'll open up Discord and I look at some stuff and then I exit out and then I go, oh, let me check Discord. Like for almost forgetting that I was in there 60 seconds ago,
Yes.
so and that's great that you have that system set up, because then, like I said, it gets rid of that subconscious, like I just got to open the app. It's just like, oh well, I literally can't, and then eventually
Yeah.
that becomes the mindset of like, oh, I can't open it up. So even when it's not available, or I'm sorry, when you don't lock it, you just think, oh, it's not available to me, I can't do that, I can't use the app now,
Yeah.
I did my
And
trade.
what's so important about mobile trading as well is, I hope that it's it's something that everybody knows that they can do, right? We can always mobile trade even
Right.
though it's at the worst circumstances, right? We want to have multiple screens, we want to have multiple
Right.
charts open.
Yep. Yep.
But this is how, in my opinion, this is how powerful this model is that you guys have given to us is that you can execute off a phone and still be profitable,
Right. And confident
right?
too.
And confident, yes. And I've always liked the fact that it's limit orders, right? Instead of market orders. There's
Hmm.
there's no discretionary things without or with it, right? It's all mechanical. And if you can just have undying confidence for the strategy, put your limit order in, and then close your phone and stop looking at the position, accept either the win or the loss, it does so it's so well for one, the mental, but two, you let your edge out play profitably, right?
Right.
When you back test this model, I think I had, even without a bias, even when I was just testing out the entry because I was just trying to see the entry, I think I had like a 49% win rate.
Mm-hmm.
and you know, 1 to 2 trading, you only need a 33% to be break even.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, if I include a daily bias, this is powerful to me, right? And that's another thing I'd like to talk about is back then, because I was only on a phone, right? I would only trade off the 5 minute chart, price action off 5 minute.
Yes.
And when I started including the time frame alignments, time frame alignments, the daily, the 1 hour, and the 5 minute, and the 4 hour, 15 minute, 1 minute, having a bias for the day when you're stuck on a phone, if you know for the day you have a position that is only looking to be bearish for the day,
Mm-hmm.
you have already removed 50% of errors, right? You don't have to go long,
Right.
right? Let's
You
say
made
it
your
maybe
decision.
changes. Exactly. And simplifying it down to, okay, it can even go down to get your daily bias and find the first entry, right? It doesn't have to be even at an hourly point of interest. It just is greater if you do 2 sweeps of liquidity. But when I first started, I just saw profitability just knowing that, hey, on the daily, I'm bullish for the day, right? It matches what the Dixie is inversely. I'm gonna go long for the day. And if there wasn't any long opportunities, then so be it. But I would only look for 50% of my options. And it just made everything so simple to me, right? That you could execute off a phone, off a small screen. You don't
Yep.
need anything else.
Right. Yeah. And like how, to touch on what you're saying, it's like the set it and forget it mentality, right? Like,
Yes.
because you become so, confident in yourself, right? In executing because, right, you decide on your bias. Are you bullish or are you bearish? And then
Hmm.
once you've made that decision, like you said, it's you've taken all of the questioning out of like looking for a position. You know what you're looking for. So you are able to sort of use that smaller device as opposed to 3 4 screens to your advantage because you have
Oh
already
yeah,
done
so
the
it's amazing.
research prior because you know what you want to do. And then with the model obviously, then you just go, okay, like I just need to find my position because, and I don't need to know everything else on the other screens because I've already done the research ahead of time because you know that you're going to be trading off of a phone, so you plan accordingly. And then, like you
Hmm.
said, you are able to set it and forget it. But if you are able to, keep an eye on your phone, that's great too, because like, if it's, we're obviously also about protecting profits. So if you are
Correct.
well into the profits, but then let's say you have to go do something, like, it happens to everybody, right? Something happens and you need to go do something, you can make the decision to go, okay, I want to protect these profits because it's already almost at my TP, so I just want to secure this so I can take my psychology completely away from the phone and go handle this other thing. Or you can just let it play out on its own, like you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it, you can just walk away. It's the beauty of it, right? So there's it's everything is the model itself makes it easier for operating on just a phone out in public, right?
Yes.
Because of that set it and forget it type of model that it is. You don't have to, but you are more than willing to take profit if you see profit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have the ability to take like the weight off of your shoulders when you're on the phone, because you know that if you do have to step away for any given reason and you don't have time to pull out of the position, you're still protecting yourself. Even if it does go south, you're still
Hmm.
protected. So it helps a lot with psychology because when you there are so many different psychological factors when you are out doing things. Obviously, like we discussed, you're out, you're working, you're doing this. There's you have 10 different things on your mind, and you can't just sit there next to your other screens. It's like in your pocket. You might not even be looking at it the whole time.
Yeah.
You might just have to check in every 5 minutes or whatever. You have to just not everybody can always be looking at it, because not everybody has the opportunity to just be staring at their phone all the time, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's another thing about us being independent traders, right? A lot of us set it to break even. If it hits 1 to 1 or we see profit, we move it to break even,
mhm.
right? And some people have better results like that.
Right.
For me, it's I had undeniable proof that when I didn't move to break even and I let my probabilities play out, that's when I found the greatest success. That's when I
Hmm.
found the greatest win rate, right? And I think a lot of people maybe come into the server, such as myself when I first came in, us knowing that people are profitable with this model, yet we are losing with this model, right? And I
Right.
think that's just we need to also put in the work, the screen time to see the trades, back test the trades or forward test it over and over again until we have our own undeniable proof that this strategy works, right? When
Hmm.
I saw that I could lean just a bit past 50% with a 1 to 2 RR, I knew that this is my get out of jail card, right? Because I have a model that works now. I just need to master myself,
Right.
right? And it was just and I think like a lot of people just need to spend just a couple hours, maybe not every day, but a few hours a weekend to see the model play out,
Hmm.
right? And then when you see these high win rates with a great risk to reward, then it's just like, wow, I can fully trust that when I set the entry, the limit order, I know that it's either going to be win or loss, but at least I have edge in the market to execute this with confidence.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to doing research, obviously, it's not it's you want to kind of you want to focus on, obviously, one model. That's our whole thing here, is you want to focus on one model, the unicorn being the model that we focus on mainly. And you want to get insight, as opposed or not as opposed to, but in addition to back testing. You want, well, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is, there is so much information out there. Like, now you can look up the unicorn, and there's tons of information out on Google, on YouTube. Like, you can find any type of model out there. There's new models being created every single day. So, when you are doing that, studying those sessions that you're speaking of, whether it's an hour or two or three on the weekend, or you do an hour every day, you want to make sure that it's consistent. And also, I personally find it, or I should say found it, extremely helpful to rewatch things over and over again. Kind of like how you were saying with the T Trades interview, right? That you found, where that's how you discovered Matt and everything. Uh, Watching things over and over again until you can almost regurgitate it yourself is extremely important, as long as it aligns with what your end goal is. um, and so, actually, I wanted to ask you, now, you only joined the premium group, like you said, less than 2 months ago, just about 2 months ago. um,
Yes.
and now, in there, obviously, we record like all of our premium sessions in there, and that's kind of why I was trying to sort of shift it over to this, because I wanted to ask you, because I've never asked anyone. Now, when you joined, obviously, we had a number of videos up there. Like, we have like the mentorship that's there. We have like countless live streams that are recorded in there. When you joined, where did you now? I know you had already kind of like checked out the YouTube at this point. Did you go right into the mentorship and watch the mentorship videos, or did you jump into the stream videos to try to learn? And what was beneficial about the mentorship versus the streams? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at here.
Sure. So I will say I think I had when I commute to work, it's about 35 minutes there
Mm-hmm.
and 45 minutes back. And so I obviously don't stare at my phone, right? But I listened to Matt's previous live streams,
The
right?
streams.
And
Okay.
yes, on YouTube,
Yes. Yes.
and then I think I was watching uh his free series on YouTube that had the PDF, and so
Mm-hmm.
watching the video of him going through the PDF, the interactive PDF helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But one very pivotal, I mean, I guess two, because it's two-part video,
Mm-hmm.
is when Matt goes through his back testing,
Everybody loves
right?
that. Are you talking about on YouTube or are you talking about in the premium?
It's like at the very bottom of the
On the
premium.
premium, yeah, a lot of
Yes.
people really, really
Oh my goodness.
reference
And
that video like
yeah,
all the
and
time.
yeah, and seeing the trades, the thought process is amazing. So then every time I watched the live stream afterwards, I'd say, "Hey, we're coming out of in a bullish FEG. So now we're looking to target a previous swing high, or now we're at a swing high. It's time to be bearish and look for an FEG below us." Right? I would understand it the more I
Mm-hmm.
um, watched the backtesting videos, and then I guess I kind of went backwards. I started out with the backtesting,
Mm-hmm.
then the streams, and then fully dived into the mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
right from introduction to the last videos,
Mm-hmm.
and another game changer. I mean, this was, I kid you not, this was really life changing. When we had the 250K deal that's still going on, excuse me, 250K deal still going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? Expediting evals was one of the craziest things that I'd ever seen from anybody, whether it's Matt talking about fading the news, whether it's Brian Stonks, right? That compounding live stream between them two
Mm-hmm.
was fantastic, right? And so to me, when I thought of a news trader, I was like, dude, this is, why would you ever do this, right? Why would you ever have a position? And your goal is to stay away from these type of positions. But when we're able to use volatility to our advantage, that's when things kind of just scaled out of proportion. For I mean, not out of proportion, because obviously I'm handling it well. At least I'm trying to, right? Um, but when I joined Matt's server, I had nine 50K accounts.
Yep.
And then when the expediting evals became popular with the 250Ks, I had gone 11 more 250Ks, so maxed out the 20 PAs, and I currently have backup 250Ks eval that if I fail an account, right, because I'm trying to swap out these 50Ks for more leverage, or if I blow up a 250K by taking a payout, I have replacement and backups, right? I have ways to kind of compensate these losses. But expediting evals was also another crazy thing that I would have never learned unless I was in this mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just knowing that psychology, once you have this profitable model, knowing about the psychology of one, handling your Apex accounts, but two, understanding that losses is a business expense. These were all pillars that Matt showed through the mentorship, and it was fantastic. And I don't think it takes a lot to learn the unicorn model, quite frankly, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all the tidbits of mastering yourself and being disciplined enough to not take a trade. For example, today, if you looked at after NFP, everything was out of sync, right?
Mm-hmm.
NQ, ES, Dixie, all of it was out of sync. So if I was in somebody else's mentorship, they'd probably try to put a 1 to 2 RR and say this is an A plus setup, right? But there's so many days that people in the premium server all agree that this is a day we should stay away
Like
from.
unanimously.
Or
Yep.
yes, and when I was able to see the same exact position that multiple others took, it was just amazing, right? And it all started because I was watching those mentorship videos, learning more about the principles of the unicorn model, both the psychology side and the mechanical execution, right? And then back testing it gave me all the information I needed to know while watching Matt also back test it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then yeah, that backtesting video that you're referencing, I remember. I was actually I happened to be driving when that one was going on. I was in the middle
Hmm.
of traveling, and I listened to the entire stream like through the speakers of my car, and I was just like, man, this is the craziest information right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It just went so well. Like it just was
Hmm.
such a great slice of info that was just I couldn't believe how great the information was in that one. And
Yeah.
like how you were saying, it's just it was such a good stream, and a lot of people turn to that video and they go, "This video was like what helped me see straight. You
Hmm.
know, it helped me
And
see what
there's
I needed
and
to."
there's an amazing thing at the very beginning of the, I think maybe the first part, where Matt is back testing and he didn't take a single position until Thursday,
Yep.
and then asked a rhetorical question saying, "Do you think you'd be disciplined enough to not execute until Thursday?"
Right. Yep.
And I was
I
just
remember
sitting
that
there.
too,
I was like,
actually.
I don't, yeah, I was like, I don't know if I really could. And here we are now, NFP week,
Yep.
two executions Monday and Tuesday, and I've been just sitting back in my chair, still doing my journaling, still doing
Right.
my analysis on the bias, right? But sitting on my hands because I know that the last NFP was my work. It's been my only negative week ever
Mm-hmm.
in this premium group was NFP week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I journaled that, I told myself this time, beginning of July, I'm going to relax, focus. I had my birthday on the 3rd, July 4th, and then I had a day off today. I'm just gonna relax and reset my mental,
Yep.
you know.
Enjoy the birthday slash holiday weekend. Just
Thank you so much. Thank you
take some
so
time
much.
off. Yeah. So while we're still on the topic of since we're just still talking about the premium group, um, at your personal opinion, what is actually your favorite part of the group itself? Whether it be like, I don't know, it could be like any of the sections that we have in there, or if it's just like any of the types of communication that go on in there.
Yes.
Was there something that is in the premium group that stuck out to you, or maybe just even like helped you like more than some of the other communities, I guess, maybe, or just maybe something you've never
Yeah.
seen before, right?
Well, I think it was just like I said, it's like-minded individuals treating this as a business, right?
Right.
You also still take the same positions as them. However, sometimes it differs, right? There's times where everybody's bullish, but I think that this small FEG, I'm actually bearish for the day. I still execute. We both make profits, right? It's independent thinking. But
Right.
my favorite part is the interactions with the community as well as the different people do analysis, right? We have like EMC, Jimmy, Arrow. These guys are giving you such great information for free, right? And the fact that there's different people using different techniques, but we all still end up being profitable is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing these guys, I think a lot of people have issues journaling, but the analysts in the premium group are doing it every single day and so detailed. And so that motivates me to journal my trades, journal to the level and professionalism that these guys are doing it with,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you just look at any of the analyst journals, it's amazing. It's amazing, right? So that's my favorite part is interactions with the community, right? Like-minded individuals, as well as being able to not only see Matt's analysis for the day, but all the other great analysts that we have, right? All their journals are fantastic. I try to read them every single day.
Yeah, and to that point that you were making, where everybody kind of has their own strategy, right, that they approach the market with, but everybody ends up doing, or everybody ends up profitable, is what you were saying.
Hmm.
That's a huge. That is like the exact reason why we are, all doing what we're doing in these communities is to we don't want we're not, it's not like a follow the leader type of mentality. That's not what we're trying to instill in everybody. It's about figuring out what you are good at and how you are going to succeed, right?
Hmm.
Like we have, like how you said, we have Arrow, we have Eat More Chicken, we have Jimmy. We have a team of people who all don't execute exactly alike. Everybody has, their own life, right? So like real life, that applies to executing as well. Some people have to be
Yeah.
mobile. Some people can be at home. Everybody's different. So that alone has its own, that alone is its own beast, right? Like just your everyday
Yes.
life. And then on top of that, not everybody is in the same time zone. So we have
Oh
people
yeah.
like Jimmy, for instance, is across the world, at least from me. He's like all the way over in Australia, and I'm in the US. So it's like, completely different, literally opposite sides of the planet, but everybody's doing the same thing just in a different way. And like and again, to your point, everybody doing the same thing, making money just in their own way that fits their lifestyle. That is exactly what we're trying to, show the world, right? Like we're trying
Yes.
to show, or I should well, yes, the world, but the communities, right? We want everybody to actually see that it can be done, and it can be done your way, as long as you are disciplined, right? It
Mm-hmm.
does come down to psychology, but that's an internal battle, and that's why the unicorn model itself tries to combat that psychology, like how we were discussing before, where you can set it and forget it, and you can still be profitable, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
to ease the psychology. um
Yeah, and another thing I really enjoyed about the server. So I've been very blessed to, as we were talking about, Nate. I've been very blessed that I haven't ran into any gurus, right,
mhm,
promoting their servers just for being unprofitable, making their money through the server, right? All the servers I've been through have been amazing mentors, but this one I really enjoyed when Matt would ask who caught X, Y, and Z trade, right? And when I would see it play out, and then Matt reaffirming that this was the play for the day, this accomplished what our bias was for the day, that was just cementing that I really enjoy being here, because not only am I taking the trades as all these other professionals,
mhm,
but I'm understanding piece by piece how we got to where we are about to execute,
right.
right? So that's just another thing. It's just when joining the premium, you just have a lot of also support from other people, right? A lot of people have reached out to me, or I've reached out to them, and we just chat about one, just how life's going, and made friends with this, but also helping each other with difficulties, right? For
Mhm,
for me and EMC, like we talked about benefits or how we can improve mobile trading for us, as he has to do it sometimes as well,
mhm.
right? And it's just these kind of conversations with like-minded individuals that makes the server completely different from any others I've ever had, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, like-minded individuals. I mean, that
Hmm.
phrase gets thrown around like 100 times a day. Here between
Yeah,
between
yeah.
all the communities.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's true. That's literally what it is. It's like like-minded individuals is what we strive to be around, right? We don't want to be
Yeah,
around negative energies, or people that are it's just it's all positive, like whether or not you want to use the unicorn model, right? If you just want to be a part of the community, I mean, obviously we all focus on the unicorn model, but there is no like one way to trade, right? It's just about
100%.
being a like-minded individual, knowing what we want the end result to be, right? Which is to be
For sure.
financially comfortable. Everybody's
Hmm.
here to make money. That's what we all want. So I mean, we're gonna keep growing the community. We're gonna keep gathering more like-minded individuals, like yourself. And to that, I want to thank you for coming and talking to all of us. We're coming up on an hour here, and like Henry is doing incredible things in the community. He is. I mean, like obviously we've had an hour-long conversation, but I really do want to emphasize that he has been putting in some serious work, and he has made such growth in this short amount of time that it kind of floored me, how quickly he was able to grow in the community and learn the unicorn model to a T, and work on his psychology and get everything aligned. He is a success story is an understatement. He is doing fantastic, and he is so early, not to mention, in his journey, right? He's only been doing it for a year and a half total, and I think, I mean, all of you know, because Matt said it in his T Trades interview. He's been doing this for 6-7 years, right? And now he's sharing his knowledge with all of us. We got like over almost 7,000 people in this server alone. So the fact that we can watch you, Henry, do this in less than 2 months. I mean, that is just like, that's the goal. That's what we literally have been striving for. And you're not alone, obviously.
Yeah.
You're one of many, and we wanted to highlight you and your success. So seriously, thank you for coming on and talking to us.
Yes.
You know,
Thanks so much for having me, Nate. I appreciate that.
of
And
course.
just a last message is that,
Yeah.
like Nate had been saying about Matt, he's been doing this for, you said 6 to 7 years,
Yep.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
He has paved a way for us to take a shortcut into this model, into reaching financial freedom. And so when somebody has given you a very straightforward path, and obviously there's some deviations here, just try your best to learn it without any previous bias or notions from other places. And man, it's been a blessing to be in this premium group in the premium group. And yeah, this is life-changing thing. So I really thank you guys for letting me have this opportunity to talk with everybody, especially with you guys. All right. Well, thanks so much again, Nate. This was fantastic. I really appreciated this talk. And I was very nervous that it was going to be like a 30-minute conversation, but it felt like everything was free flowing. So this was fantastic.
No. Yeah, you did a great job, brother, and we appreciate you
Perfect.
for being here.
Of course. Take care, guys.
All right, man.